Alright guys, this is a hopefully quick video that I'm making to try to assist with our Sylv prog a little bit to help us finish this out. I will be going over defensive usage in the fight because one thing we've been fairly bad at is using our defensives alongside healing pots and health stones. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to point out situations where that will be helpful. And also the other half of this video is going to be looking at phase 3 step by step, just so you are as familiar as possible with it before we get there, and that'll save us hopefully a few hard-earned pulls. Okay, so let's get into it. First pain point where we have been dropping off is generally just in phase 1. If you get an arrow, especially if you're the second arrow, obviously, good time to hit a defensive. Another very important time where we've been dropping off very frequently, almost every pull, is at about 3 minutes into the fight. This is after our last set of chains we get, but before the intermission, when we're dealing with sentinels and holding damage on the boss. That's the situation here in the raid plan. When Shadow Dagger comes out, if you have Shadow Dagger at this time, it's a pretty hard spot for healing. You should hit a defensive and be prepared to use a health pot if you are getting low. So being aware of that part's going to help out a lot. The last position where I think you are almost always going to want a defensive is when you are assigned an arrow in phase 3. So I'm going to show you exactly how that works here. So first arrow will be a tank. They go over, they take the arrow, they come back. These two dudes, right after the explosion for the tank goes off, you effectively swap places with the tank. These two dudes jump over. This guy jumps far to the far one. This guy takes the arrow, boom, he comes back. This guy waits for a second because this soak circle will appear, and then once it's gone, you know, his arrow will blow up, boom, and then he jumps back, and that is how you do arrows. But especially this dude here, the dude who had to jump far, is going to take a lot of damage. He should use a defensive. Mr. Ranged guy here should probably pop a defensive as well because he will be away from the healers. Okay, what about things that might go wrong? Things that could go wrong in phase 1 to you if you are unlucky or you make a mistake. Bad sentinel placement. So say I'm this ranged guy here, if sentinels are out, I'm out here, say the sentinel's on me, it will walk towards me. The rest of these dudes are going to walk forward like this. They're going to get trapped up in Ring of Frost, Vortex, all that good stuff. This guy's going to run free. He's going to run in, gather speed, hit me, completely murder me. If this ends up happening to you, you need to correct it somehow. You need to make sure the sentinel gets back in with the group, and probably hit whatever defensive you have, because this thing will one-shot you. Phase 2, what can happen is that you can eat waves. If you're on the bridge and you eat waves, definitely want to hit a defensive. Hits very hard, the healers are focused on dodging themselves. Use whatever you have to stay alive. Another thing that can happen to you in phase 2 when there is a soul judge on your platform is that you can get a pretty high amount of stacks on Crushing Dread. That is the debuff the soul judge applies, puts the circle around people. You want to make sure that you have your trigger finger on your defensive there if it looks like things are getting hairy. You want to be ready for that. And in the entire fight, across the entire fight, if you get hit by darkness, that's going to be really bad news. You are the person who's going to have the most amount of healing reduction on them. Pretty much the moment you take darkness, you're in trouble. You should hit a defensive, probably be ready to hit a health pot or something in the case that you don't get to drop stacks very quickly. One thing I wanted to go over in this video was a couple mistakes that we're making in phase 2. I'm just going to call them out rapid fire round. Okay, 1, waves. You need to, when crossing the bridges, make sure that dodging waves is your #1 priority. It is the exact same pattern every time, so you can find a route that you like through the waves that also gets you there pretty quick. So just try to work on that as we get through the pulls. Another thing is when we get to the platforms, like I have drawn here, there should be a ranged group and a melee group. Separated by a gap. This is because when darkness comes out, darkness pools are going to come out on top of the range and on top of the melee, but they can't spawn where there is nobody. So this green circle, in the case of darkness, will be clear. So if darkness comes out and we are spread like this, what you can do is very easily just move into the green circle and you're all good. That will increase our damage a little bit just because movement will be more predictable. Speaking of damage, make sure you're on the summoner first if it's available, and on the soul judge if it's not. That is I'm hoping that's obvious, but it's worth stating again. When the Colossus is out for the left group on the second split, you want to make sure you're stacked. that's pretty much it. And on the right side, on the second split, that is a very dangerous platform. So if you get any combination of crushing dread and orbs are exploding, very much worth a defensive, like I said earlier. That's going to save your life for sure. The bridges, and just making sure we're being very careful with them, you know, like jumping onto the bridge, not tempting fate by using like teleportation abilities on it or anything, I think will get us through it with far less deaths. So just try to get comfortable with the bridges in a way that is reliable. Okay, welcome to phase 3. So this is going to be step-by-step exactly what happens. The counters I'm going to be using here, we have Sylv to denote which platform we're currently on. This is the order. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4. We kill the boss on number 4. We start on 1. So you can have the 2 DPS counters here to look at for how the DPS are moving, as well as the tank one, because kind of looking at where the tank is might serve to help you know what part of the fight you're at. So you can see we start on the Necro platform, and we go to the Fae platform, and you go from there. So just in case you wanted anything to actually kind of mark these timestamps of when these things happen in your head. So we start on platform 1. So the tank leaves here and it goes all the way over here. You guys are going to be always never picking up these puddles. You're going to get puddles dropped on this platform. They're going to get picked up. You are going to spread for darkness, and then the tank will return, at which point he will be dispelled, probably in this corner up here. So you're going to have a bunch of purple here. And then you're going to stack up for Banshee's Fury. After Banshee's Fury, pretty quickly, you're going to go to the edge of the platform where there will be a Mass Dispel, and she will be casting Raise. When she's almost done casting Raise, you're hitting her the whole time for damage. You jump. So there's going to be a Mass Dispel during that, just so you don't drop puddles. It is imperative that when you are coming to the edge here, you don't get puddles. There's probably going to be a couple. So Sylv will follow you, this platform is gone, and we now find ourselves at platform 2. So this is the first platform with actual real mechanics. You're going to get arrows. So first arrow leaves, that is the tank. It explodes. The tank comes back. Right when that first arrow explodes, these 2 DPS are going to jump over. This person is going to go to number 4. That is the third person who gets the arrow, goes to platform 4. This explodes, this person comes back. This soak appears. If this person jumps back when the soak is still here, you will die. It explodes, disappears, this person goes jump, jump. That's going to be really important. We can't have this third person just die every time. You need to know what you're doing with that. And if you have any questions, please ask. That goes for anything in this video. So now that the arrows are back, while they were gone, knives happened. This melee guy did not get knives. So the ranged guy, he was standing here, say, he's going to get out, move for a couple seconds. When there's 2 or 3 seconds left on his debuff, and the knives are going to explode, he stops, so that the melee guy is able to go, oh, I'm actually standing in a line, and he moves like 1 foot, and then he lives. But the point is, if you get knives, you move for a couple seconds just to make sure you're not overlapping with any other person who has knives, make it a little easier for people to dodge, and then you plant, and you don't move anymore. So after the people are back from arrows and the knives are done, we are going to be spreading for Scream, so you go to your designated positions. After that Scream, there is a darkness that follows, so you're going to stay spread for that. After that darkness, the boomy soaks happen, so those are the 2 blue circles given to the boomkins in their positions. After those 2 soaks, there's going to be a lot of stacks currently on the tanks because they've been soaking, so we are going to be dispelling the tanks. Everyone should kind of get towards the center of the room after they're done spreading for darkness, because there's going to be a shit ton of purple here and probably back here. This whole wall is going to be occupied by purple. You want to make sure you don't pick up stacks because we are stacking for Banshee's Fury. After Banshee's Fury, more puddles are going to drop. It's imperative that you do not pick up these puddles. The tanks are going to soak them up to leave room for other mechanics. Next, you're going to get more knives, another set of arrows, I already showed you what that looks like. We're going to collect puddles on this platform at this time, again, spreading for darkness. So we collect the puddles to make room, and then we spread for darkness. So what might happen is the tanks might not be able to actually collect all of the puddles because it's about 20. So a part of the platform might actually have purple on it. It might be where you need to stand. So just try to spread as best as possible. Try to go to your spot. If not, just be ready to move. People with darkness. If you're stacked with somebody else and you get darkness, you don't move, they move. Because what you don't want is to move into someone else and drop darkness on them. It's much easier if once you're planted and darkness is coming out and darkness comes down, you do not move if you are targeted with darkness. That's how we're going to do things. Okay, so after that darkness, the remainder of the tank stacks will be dispelled as far back as we can get them on this platform. This purple splotch is going to be fucking massive. So everyone else is going to be on this edge. Once again, mass dispel. Everybody, let's go to platform 3. So platform 3 kicks off with a Banshee's Fury. There might be a couple pools here, so just very important that you don't pick those up on your way onto the boss. So we're going to stack up, we're going to get Banshee's Fury, and immediately following that, we will be getting knives. We know what to do with knives. After knives is over, we spread for Scream. We're used to it at this point. So after that Scream, 2 things happen at the same time. 1, you get the immune soaks. So that's the 4 circles that you will be using immunities on. The people are already assigned to that, and at the same time, arrows begin. So same deal, you have this tank jump across, but you'll notice that there's no additional platform here. So this tank jumps back as soon as that explosion happens, right? This one's very, very fast. So that first explosion happens, this guy's number 2, he goes, that explosion happens, and this guy needs to jump like as late as he can before his arrow actually hits the group. And this guy's gonna need a defensive, like a good defensive, that number 3. It's very precise timing. And then he, obviously he jumps back when he's done. So after those arrows and those soak, we're going to get a couple more puddles, which the tanks are going to collect. At this time, tanks are going to be dispelled roughly back here, so you're going to get a good amount of purple in this area, and then everyone stacks up for Banshee's Fury. After Banshee's Fury, you're going to get a set of knives, and then we soak puddles to make room for the next mechanic, which is spreading for darkness. After that, we're going to dispel all of our puddles at the back here. We are going to, once again, move to the edge, and we are going to mass dispel with the rays and jump off. So we are now on platform 4. So this, no more soaks, that's done. Welcome to platform 4. Right when you get here, it's just like heroic, arrows are going to begin. How we're going to do this is we're going to get a gateway. Look, the gateway magically appeared. So the group is going to stack up where we landed. Say that this sword guy gets the first arrow. He's going to take the gateway, and he's going to sit here. He's going to wait until the arrow goes off, and then he's going to, as quickly as he can, come back. Say the bow guy was the second arrow. The moment that the first guy's explosion goes off, arrow guy takes the gateway, and he takes his explosion, and then he comes back. And you just do that, and the group stacks here until all 3 arrows are done, at which point you assume normal positioning. So the next mechanic we're going to have to deal with after that is knives. After that knives, you end up spreading for Scream. You're going to get a set of puddles. Those are going to be soaked immediately because right after, you're going to want to spread for darkness. After that darkness is when you lust. So you want all your CDs, you want all your stuff for that. Then arrows will start again. You do the same positioning as before. That will be accommodated for by the tanks. Those areas should be clean of puddles. You just do it the same way I went over when we got to this platform. During the second arrow, people who are not assigned the arrows are going to get knives. So that happens at the same time. What you're going to do is you're just not going to go too far. Say that the ranged guy here gets knives. He's maybe going to go to about here. He's just going to get out of the clump of people that are on this corner, and he's going to take his knife there. There's going to be a few people doing that. They just need to not hit each other, not hit the group, and you don't go out too far because there's going to be an arrow exploding on that other side of the platform. After that, we're going to drop pools because the final mechanic of the fight is a Banshee's Fury. After that Banshee's Fury, she will cast Raise. At the end of that Raise cast, you hit your immunities, and that will be the fight. She should be dead by then.